Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
Welcome, everybody, to the Bald Eagle Podcast. I'm Shawn Cressman. I am the Bald Eagle. Now, the Bald Eagle Podcast is 100% Philadelphia Eagles, dedicated to my favorite team, hopefully your favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. So we only talk about the Eagles. We include some NFL news that is important because it affects us, things like viewership, and we'll talk about that later today. But we don't talk about any other team. We focus strictly on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagle, the Bald Eagle Podcast is on Philly Sports Alliance. That's the group of people that I'm partnered with for podcasts, and we have a whole host of podcasts. They're on your right, and I'll go over those later in the show. But we also have some sponsors. One of our sponsors is now scrolling at the bottom. La Terrain watches, and they have more than just watches, but that's how they started, I believe. But LaTerrain.com, and that's LA-TOURAINE.com, sells a whole bunch of accessories, sunglasses, other types of accessories. I'm blanking here on the other things that they sell for men and women, both economically viable and expensive options. And in addition to the economically viable ones they already have there, you can put in a code PSA, and you can see that at the bottom there. Nope, right there. And you'll get another discount, so it'll be even cheaper. They're already good quality, well-priced products will be even cheaper. So that's going to be scrolling there for a while, so take a look at that and enjoy. Okay, so the Bald Eagle Podcast has 3 rules. I go over them all the time, just in case you're a new listener / viewer, because they're very important to me. And the first rule is the most important, and that is no politics. We don't talk about anything political, and it's not just something that I'm doing because I just don't like politics, which I don't, but it's because it seems like politics have push themselves into everything, including ESPN and other sports channels. So I avoid it completely. We don't talk about politics. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care who you like, who you don't like. I really, none of that stuff means anything when it comes to the way that the game is played and the Philadelphia Eagles. So we don't even bother with it. So we're all here as a community of Eagles fans, regardless of what you think about other things. I don't talk about personal information. That's another thing that annoys me as a fan when I turn on Fox NFL Sunday or perhaps Good Morning Football, and they say stupid things like, what NFL player reminds you of your favorite TV show character? I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't. None of that stuff is interesting to me. What they do in their personal lives has no bearing, again, on the game. I'm here solely because I love the game of football and I love the Philadelphia Eagles. So, the things they do in their personal lives really means nothing to me, and so I don't talk about that. And lastly, I'm not censored. I already cursed once. And I'll probably curse again because I don't really give a shit, right? Okay, so the thing about the Bald Eagle Podcast, again, if you're new, and if you're not new, just a little reminder, is this is the home of the most in-depth play-by-play analysis anywhere that I'm aware of. Now, that's a disclosure I'm aware of because I haven't listened to every single podcast out there. But what we're going to do today, and what we do every Wednesday, with one other exception because we have a Monday night game and the game film doesn't come out in time, but after every game on Wednesday at 6, we're here going over every single play, and I'm explaining to you what happened. And it's a good thing. I enjoy it. I learn a lot. I learn a lot about who's doing well on our team, things that you won't hear on your general show, any of your shows. In addition, I'm going to tell you what people do wrong. That's something else you won't hear on most shows. You go to some of the Eagles supported podcasts and you go to Fran Duffy and things like that, and they're pointing out a lot of the good things that the Eagles do, which is great. But they're often not pointing out the things that they don't do well for whatever reason. So I'm talking about every play, and I'm telling you what we did right, what we did wrong, how we can improve. So you'll know more. You'll be the most informed Eagles fan if you listen to the Bald Eagle podcast and listen to my in-depth analysis. Okay, so let's get to our countdown. We're always counting down to something. In the regular season, it's nothing surprising, right? So we're counting down to our game week 4 against Jacksonville. Doug Peterson returns to the Link. It's exciting. We've had a good string of people returning to our stadium. And this is one of the more exciting ones. And I think it's going to be a more difficult game than most people have anticipated pre-season. I thought we would just roll over them, but they're looking pretty good. So 4 days on Sunday, October 2nd at 1 p.m. We're at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And again, Doug Peterson, head coach of the Jags, will be returning to the Link. But let's summarize our first 3 games real quick, just in case you weren't aware. Week 1, we went to Detroit. We beat them 38-35, making our record 1-0. Week 2, at home against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. The Bald Eagle podcast was on Thursday that week because I have to wait for the game film to come out. We beat the Vikings easily 24-7, made us 2-0 for the season. And then this past week, week 3, we were at Washington, went over to Carson Wentz's house, crushed him, embarrassed him, made him look like the quarterback he probably really is. And we beat them 24-8, and that made our record 3-0. I mentioned this week, the second Sunday, 1 p.m., we play Jacksonville at home. Week 5, we travel to Arizona. That's October 9th, Sunday at 4:25 p.m. We're back home again week 6, Sunday Night Football against the Cowgirls, October 16th at 8:20 p.m. We have a week 7 bye. I'm not happy about that early bye, but of course there's nothing I can do about it. Week 8, we're at home against the Steelers. That's Sunday, October 30th at 1 p.m. We travel to Houston week 9, Thursday Night Football, November 3rd at 8:15 p.m. Week 9, I will be doing Thursday Night Football is easy. That'll have plenty of time. But week 10 at home, we have the Commanders at home again. So Carson Wentz has to come and try and play us again, and hopefully we do as good of a job embarrassing him as we did last time. That's Monday Night Football, November 14th at 8:15 p.m. That week, the Bald Eagle podcast will be on Thursday because the game film doesn't come out until late Tuesday. So I have all Wednesday to review it. Week 11 at home against the Colts, Sunday, November 20th, 1 p.m. Back at home again, week 12 against the Green Bay Packers, Sunday Night Football, November 27th at 8:20 p.m. Week 13, we're at home again, Tennessee Titans, Sunday, December 4th, 1 p.m. Week 14 starts a 3-game away streak. Week 14 at the Giants, Sunday, December 11th, 1 p.m. Week 15 at Chicago, Sunday, December 18th, 1 p.m. Week 16 at the Cowgirls, Saturday, December 24th, 4:25 p.m. Could be a very meaningful game. Then we have our last 2 games at home. First, Week 17, the Saints come to town Sunday, January 1st, 1 p.m. And then we end the season, Week 18, at home against the Giants. To be determined, not undetermined, to be determined when that game will be, but it should be either the 8th or 7th or 8th of January. Unsure what time. And in fact, last time I checked, and I'll be honest with you, I did not check yesterday or today. All the games on Week 18 were to be determined, so none of them had a schedule. So who knows what that'll be like. NFL wildcard round is January 14th and 15th. Divisional round, 21st and 22nd. The NFL Conference Championships are January 29th. The new NFL Pro Bowl flag football game, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, is February 5th, 2023 at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. And then Sunday, February 12th, 2023 is Super Bowl 57 at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Hopefully we have a significant representation for the Eagles there. Hopefully they are in the Super Bowl. All right, so let's recap the draft. And I probably say this every time in the middle, right, to kind of break it up. I do this every show for the first, I'm looking at the time here, 15 minutes or so. I go over our schedule, I recap our games, and then I go through our draft. And I do it for my own benefit. I have a horrible memory, and I do it for your benefit because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have a shitty memory like I do. And repetition, I've always been told, helps with that. So this most recent draft, we had 5 picks, and we traded for A.J. Brown. I include that because I'm so excited about it, and it's panned out to be an amazing decision. So first round, 13th overall, we drafted defensive tackle Jordan Davis. He's a huge defensive tackle from Georgia. He's having a good season, although he's been limited in snaps. Then we traded our 18th and 101st overall pick to Tennessee for A.J. Brown. He has been an amazing success since coming here. 3 games in, but still. The second round, 51st overall, we drafted center Cam Jurgens from Nebraska. Third round, 83rd overall, linebacker Nakobe Dean from Georgia. 6th round, 181st overall, linebacker Kyron Johnson from Kansas. And 6th round, 198th overall, tight end Grant Calcaterra from SMU, who had his first NFL catch, and it was a great one against the Commanders, and we'll go over that too. Now, we did sign 3 of, I think, 16 undrafted free agents that we signed. I'm sorry, we kept 3 on the active roster, 3 of 16 undrafted free agents that we signed. Reed Blankenship, safety from Middle Tennessee State. Josh Jobe, corner from Alabama. And Josh Sills, offensive lineman from Oklahoma State. So as of today, we have the following draft picks in 2023. And it seems if things continue on the trajectory that we're on, we are going to be able to load up on positions that we have a dire need at with some fresh new talent. Because in 2023, we have 2 first-round draft picks, a second round, a third round, a fourth round, and 2 seventh. And of course, the 2 first-round picks are the most valuable, and those could be. I mean, they could extend if we're able to dominate and stay on the path that we're on now. They could extend our dominance. 2 first-round picks, if we can get those right, that could have a significant impact on our team. And then 2024, we got 1 first rounder, 2 second rounders, a third, 2 fourth rounders. One of them could become a 5th, depending on. It's from Minnesota, and it's conditional. A 5th rounder, and then a 6th, and that 6 is either ours or the Titans, whichever's higher. All right, let's get to our in-depth game analysis for the win against the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take a drink. And by the way, actually, this is probably a good time to remind you, no matter what platform you're on, you can comment. Now, I can't necessarily comment back, but I can show your comment on the air. Unless you're on Instagram, then I can talk about it. I can't show it. I can show your comment on the air, and we can talk about it too. So by all means, any questions, anything you want to talk about, throw it up there. I'm also going to switch over to another. I'm going to put Philly Sports Alliance down here. So check out Philly Sports Alliance. That's the group of podcasts that I'm with. That's our network or channel, you might want to say. Check out all their podcasts, and we'll go over those in more depth later. All right, let's get to the game. So the game starts. We win the toss. We elect to defer. We kick off. The Commanders start the game 1st and 10 on their own 25. They run Samuel to the left. Wentz is under center. Samuel goes in motion right to left. Wentz takes the snap and immediately hands off to Samuel. Sweat has contained but misses the tackle. He's able to get 15 yards. So not a good start. Sweat has to do a better job of having contained. He was the outside end, and that's his job to make sure nobody gets around him. So that brings up a 1st and 10. Washington has the ball on their own 40. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. Jordan Davis is able to push their center Schweitzer to the right, runs straight at Wentz, and knocks the pass down, making it an incomplete, intended for Dotson. That brings up a 2nd and 10. Washington on their own 40. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. Reddick has a free run at Wentz, forcing him to throw the ball early. Kaiser White starts on the right side of the ball, and wide receiver Samuel runs a quick out to the left. So he's out of position. So he's able to complete the pass. Wentz is to Samuel for 5 yards, but Kaiser White does make the tackle immediately, so not a horrible play. But that happens often. We're out of position, and then you have a back that's coming out of the backfield going in the opposite direction. It's tough on anybody, especially a linebacker, to keep up with that. So that brings up 3rd and 5. They have the ball on their own 45. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. We're in zone coverage. Everybody's covered. We're doing a great. Our secondary has been doing an amazing job in comparison to last year. Sweat's able to beat their left tackle Leno outside, forces Wentz to move up and to his left. Cox throws their center Schweitzer to the right and combines with Sweat for a sack. We only brought 4, and I mentioned that at the beginning, and you'll notice that's a pattern here. If you've listened to my podcast, you've noticed in the past first few games, and especially last year, we struggled to get any kind of pressure with just bringing 4 men, and we struggled the first 3 games as well. But this game, we had a lot of success, and this is the first example. So we rushed 4, and we were able to sack Wentz for a 7-yard loss. The sack was technically split between Sweat and Cox. So that brings up 4th and 12. Washington on their own 38. They punt. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 12 with 13:08 left in the first quarter. We run Sanders to the right. Their defensive tackle Allen uses a swim move to get around Kelsey. Dickerson pulls but misses a lead block on their defensive end Sweat. So Sanders is tackled for no gain. Brings up 2nd and 10. We have the ball on our own 12. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. Has great protection. Throws a deep pass to Watkins. It's nice. One of the best things about this play was that at Hurts' release, Watkins had a half a step. So Hurts has enough confidence in Watkins that he's going to pull away from the receiver after he throws. He tries to pull away from the corner Wild Goose who's covering him, but Wild Goose grabs his jersey. So that's pass interference. It's a 23-yard penalty. So we get 1st and 10 on our own 35. We're in the gun again. We run Miles Sanders to the left. Kelsey does an excellent job blocking, creates a seam. Sanders runs up the seam for 7 yards. Brings up 2nd and 3 on our 42. We run Sanders to the left this time. I'm not sure why, but Sanders misses the hole and runs into the back of Sayumalis, only gets 4 yards. Had he been able to find that seam, he could have gotten more yardage. But we still get a 1st and 10 on our 46. Hurts is in the gun. He fakes to Sanders. Their defensive tackle, Allen, throws Dickerson to the left and has a free run on Hurts, gets in his face, tips the ball, and it falls incomplete, intended for A.J. Brown on the left-hand side. So that brings up 2nd and 10 on our 46. Hurts in the gun again. We provide great protection. He throws a quick, accurate pass to the left to Devontae Smith for a 5-yard completion. That brings up 3rd and 5 on Washington's 49. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. They bring 6. Their defensive tackle Payne rushes up the middle untouched. Their defensive end Tony gets a free rush around the left end, forcing Hurts to roll right. All routes that we're running are deep. No one's turning around. No one's open. Watkins is running a crossing route right to left and sees Hurts scrambling, so he turns upfield. Hurts throws in his direction, but the pass is just slightly out in front of him, and he can't get it. I think it hits his outstretched hand, so he got close to it, but he couldn't catch it. It falls incomplete. One of the things we struggled a lot with last year were stunts. 4 men that would do crossing stunts really threw us off, and so did blitzes. And this is an example of us not picking it up well. Our offensive line has to practice blitz pickup, and they have to do a better job. And Hurts this time did a great job avoiding the sack. Didn't tuck the ball and run. He actually looked downfield with a pretty good pass. If you figure the situation, not a bad pass, slightly better. It would have been a completion. It would have been an amazing play. But we didn't convert that 3rd and 5, so we punt. Washington starts their drive 1st and 10 on their own 20 with 10 minutes and 41 seconds left in the first quarter. Wentz under center. We bring 4. We're in zone. Everyone's covered. Reddick is able to beat their right tackle Cosme outside, and Cox bull rushes their right guard Turner into Wentz for a sack and a 6-yard loss. Another 4-man pressure and another 4-man sack. The secondary again had everybody covered to not let Wentz have any kind of options. So that 6-yard loss brings up a 2nd and 16. Washington on their own 14. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Wentz looks at open McLaurin at the line of scrimmage, pumps it in his direction. Meanwhile, Hargrave is using an inside move to beat their left guard Norwell and hits Wentz as he's pulling down the pump fake for a sack and a 7-yard loss. Again, excellent coverage. Nobody was open, with the exception of that quick open with McLaurin, which this is, I don't want to sit here and pick on Wentz too much because he's not our quarterback anymore, but this is one of the biggest problems he had when he was in his decline is he's second-guessing himself. He had an open man. He should have just dumped it off, but instead he hesitates and he tries to go for a big play, and it doesn't work out well. Again, we only brought 4, and we got to him again for a 7-yard loss. So that brings up 3rd and 23. Washington is on their own 7. They false start. Brings up 3rd and 26. Washington's on their own 4. They run McKissick to the left. Hargrave isn't able to shed his block. Sweat uses an outside move, so the hole opens up. McKissick gets 6 yards. Not a big deal because it only ends up being 4th and 20 on their own 10. They punt. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our own 44 with 8 minutes and 19 seconds left in the first quarter. Hurts is under center. He turns and looks like he's faking to Sanders. It's kind of a botched play. Holds the ball out, but Sanders sprints to the right, nowhere near where Hurts is holding the ball. Sanders sprints to the right into the flat. Hurts doesn't see Sanders open, just tucks the ball and runs, slides down for a 3-yard loss. I think it was a botched play. After that play, it's 2nd and 13. We have the ball on our 41. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. We do a good job picking up their 4 men, but only 2 receivers are running patterns downfield. Neither of them are open. Hurts throws a poor pass behind Smith, and their defensive back Fuller is able to easily knock it down. So that brings up 3rd and 13 on our 41. Hurts did have, and he has, I don't recall if he did the first game, but he did the last game, a slow start. He begins the game with a couple of not so good passes, and that was the case here. That was a poor pass, poor decision. Nobody was open. In that situation, maybe he should have run. Right? I'm the guy that never wants him to run, but if nobody's open, he can run and slide and not get hit, right? So that brings up 3rd and 13. We have the ball on our 41. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. We do a great job of protecting him. Hurts throws to A.J. Brown as he's planning on his foot for a comeback. But their corner, St. Justy, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, gets a great jump on the ball and knocks it down. Nobody else was open, and we are 3 and out. So we punt the ball on 4th and 13. Washington starts their drive 1st and 10 on their 16 with 7 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first quarter. Gibson, they're in the shotgun. They run Gibson to the right. To Pilatu, hits him in the hole, but doesn't wrap. He's able to fall forward for 5 yards. Brings up 2nd and 5, Washington on their 21. They run Gibson this time to the left, gets another 5 yards, tackled by Edwards and Gardner-Johnson. Brings up 1st and 10 on Washington's 26. We bring 4. This time we're not able to get any pressure. Wentz rolls to his right. We're in zone. Samuel has a step on McPherson. Wentz throws the ball complete to the right side for 16 yards. So that brings up a 1st and 10, Washington on their own 42. Hurts in the gun again. They run Gibson to the right. TJ Edwards does a great job blocking the hole, causing Gibson to bounce it outside where Epps is standing there waiting, and Maddox assists. TJ Edwards had a really good game and is one of the higher rated linebackers in the league right now, which I think is exciting, especially since we haven't had a good linebacker for a while, and that he's matured and become better than I expected. So Washington has the ball 2nd and 7 on their own 45. They run McKissick to the right for 2 yards, tackled by Pilatu and Milton Williams. That brings up 3rd and 5 on Washington's 47. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Wentz looks at Gibson out of the backfield, who's open, but he doesn't throw it. He hesitates. He looks downfield, and everyone else is covered. Meanwhile, Reddick is beating his man outside, and Brandon Graham is bull rushing his man into Wentz. He slides inside, putting pressure on Wentz right into Reddick. They combine for a sack and an 8-yard loss. Again, we only brought 4 men, which means we could leave more people in the secondary. Everybody was covered. Great play by the defense. Causes a 4th and 13. They punt. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 22 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. We run Miles Sanders to the left for 5 yards. Stoll and Mulata do a great job blocking, and Sanders sees the seam and accelerates through the hole quickly. Good job on him. Brings up 2nd and 5 on our 27. We're in the shotgun. Sanders runs up the middle. It's a bad read by Sanders. It looks like the play is supposed to go wide, I think to the left. For some reason, he cuts up field, doesn't follow all his blockers, and there's a lot of them to the left. And I feel like he would have found a seam if he kept going that way. Instead, he cuts up field, and he can't get around Holcomb, who slows him down, and then Allen and Payne converge for a 1-yard loss. Sanders struggled a little bit this game, right? So that brings up 3rd and 6. We have the ball on our own 26. Hurts is in the gun again. He drops back. They bring 4. We do a decent job with protection. A.J. Brown's wide left. St. Juste gives him a good 7-yard cushion. He runs an in pattern, and Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. So Brown runs in between St. Juste and Holcomb after the catch and is finally tackled by Forrest. So he has a couple yards after the catch. But good play by Hurts, good accurate pass, and good route by Brown. One of the things that is great about A.J. Brown is that people respect him and his speed so much. Same thing with Smith, is that they give him a lot of extra space. So if a guy like A.J. Brown can catch the ball underneath, he's going to get extra yards after he catches it, which is something we're not used to as Eagles fans, right? So that brings up 1st and 10 on our 39. Hurts is in the gun again. He has good protection, has time. St. Juice's man on Devontae Smith, who's wide right. Hurts throws a deep pass to Smith, who pulls away from St. Juice and makes an amazing over-the-shoulder catch, right? Over his outside shoulder at the Washington 16-yard line. This one was a little controversial. He may not have technically caught it, but the Eagles are smart. They get to the line of scrimmage quickly, and they hike the ball before Washington's able to call to challenge it. And in fact, Washington throws the challenge flag, but after we hike the ball. So good job by the offense getting down there just to avoid any kind of speculation or investigation into the catch, right? Again, excellent throw by Hurts, excellent anticipation. He throws the ball when Devontae Smith is actually 3 steps behind St. Juice. Juice didn't have horrible coverage, but he overthrows him. Devontae Smith is able to outrun St. Juice for the ball and make an excellent catch. Another catch that we're not used to as Eagles fans seeing us make. We see other teams make those against us, but we don't often see, until this year anyway, catches like that made on our behalf. Especially when you had receivers like Aguilar who couldn't catch, and then the guy that we just sent to Minnesota, he was horrible too. Of course, I forget his name right now. See, this is why I repeat so many things, right? So we got a 1st and 10 on Washington 16. We're in a shotgun. Hurts passes to the left to Goddard. They bring 4. We pick it up. It's a quick, accurate throw to Goddard in the left flat. Can't get more than 2 yards because Fuller does make a good open field tackle. So that brings up 2nd and 8. We're on Washington's 14. We run Sanders to the right for no gain. Goddard completely whiffs on his block of Holcomb. And that's something, let's talk about everything, right? Goddard is an excellent tight end overall, but he's struggling to block. There are oftentimes you'll hear me say that somebody was easily shedding his blocks. This is an example of him completely missing the block on Holcomb, and Holcomb being able to tackle Sanders in the backfield for no gain. So something that, to improve on, right? For Goddard to improve on. And I think Stoll may have done a better job at blocking, but he had his share of missed blocks as well. So, all right, that play ends the first quarter. So we're going to start the second quarter. We have the ball 3rd and 8 on Washington's 14. Let me take a drink. Okay, 3rd and 8 on Washington's 14 to start the second quarter. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 7. They're in man coverage. Our offensive line does an excellent job picking it up. Hurts has plenty of time. Nobody gets open, though. Hurts tries to throw Devontae Smith open, but the pass is slightly behind him, and St. Juice is able to knock it down. So 4th and 8 on the 14, we kick a field goal. It's good, 32-yard field goal. That makes the score us 3, the Commanders 0. That was an 8-play, 64-yard drive that took 3 minutes and 7 seconds. We kick off. The Commanders start their next drive, 1st and 10 on their own 25 with 14:53 left in the first half. Wentz in the gun. Hands off to Gibson to the left for 4 yards. Brandon Graham, which you'll probably hear a lot this podcast as well, does a great job sliding down the line, grabs Gibson and restricts his gain to only 4 yards. That brings up 2nd and 6 on Washington's 29. Wentz is in the shotgun. He drops back. We only bring 4. He misses their tight end Rodgers wide open over the middle. In the meantime, Graham is bull rushing right tackle Cosme near Wentz. Graham reaches out to swat the ball out of Wentz's hand, but Wentz is able to climb the pocket and get out of the way. Graham doesn't stop. He keeps working, quickly catches up to Wentz as Wentz runs to his left, hits him, causes the fumble, and Hargrave falls on it. Excellent coverage. Excellent job by Brandon Graham to continue working. He missed the first attempt, but he kept going and got the second one. Excellent strip sack. Turnovers. If you look at our when we had Wentz, when he was good, the main difference between when we were in the Super Bowl and we were just winning a decent amount of games was turnover ratio. Forcing turnovers is going to be the most impactful thing we can do. And Graham works hard and creates the first one here in the game for us. So we get the ball back, 1st and 10 on Washington's 14 with 14:03 left in the first half. We run Boston Scott to the left for 1 yard. Brings up 2nd and 9. We're in Washington's 23. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back, throws the screen to Goddard. Kelsey and Sayamalu do an excellent job blocking downfield. This is the one where Goddard actually goes between them in the seam, and he sees their safety curled, diving at his shoes. He kind of slips to the right, avoids that tackle, and runs the rest of the way for a 23-yard touchdown receptions. Excellent pass. Excellent blocking downfield by Kelsey and Sayamalu in the secondary to help Goddard spring it because it was a screen. And great running by Goddard for a touchdown. So we kicked the extra point. It's good. That makes the score 10-0. That was a 2-play, 24-yard drive. Took 45 seconds off the clock. We kick off. Washington starts their next drive, 1st and 10 on their own 25 with 13-18 left in the first half. They run Gibson to the right for 7 yards, tackled by Kaiser White. Brings up 2nd and 3 on Washington's 32. Wentz in the gun. We have excellent coverage in the secondary. Sweat is able to put some pressure on Wentz, causing him to scramble. And TJ Edwards is standing there right there to tackle him and limit the gain to 2 yards. So that brings up a 3rd and 1. They're on their own 34. They're in the gun. They run Williams to the left for 6 yards. Maddox does a great job filling the hole and hits Williams, but Williams is able to drag that whole pile, and some of his offensive linemen helped him push him a little bit more, and he gets 6 yards on 3rd and 1. So that brings up 1st and 10, Washington on their own 40. Wentz under center again. He drops back, throws a pass, this time to the right to Dotson. Dotson is open, but the pass is poor. It's too far outside, and Dotson can't reach it, so it falls incomplete. One of a few, I'd say 3 or 4 poor passes that Wentz threw to open receivers. So that brings up 2nd and 10, Washington on their own 40. Wentz in the gun again. Samuel runs to the left. Reddick reads the play well, does a good job running down the line of scrimmage, tackles Samuel for no gain. That brings up 3rd and 10, Washington on their own 40 again. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. This time we aren't able to pressure Wentz. Wentz misses Samuel open over the middle. He hesitates. Then he throws a poor pass to a well-covered Dotson, and the ball's thrown out of bounds anyway. It was essentially a throwaway, right? And we all because of excellent coverage and all because Wentz hesitates, second guesses himself. So to our benefit, it's 4th and 10. They punt. This is that punt where Covey drops the ball, muffs the catch. He's able to recover it at the 6, but he loses 6 yards instead of possibly gaining a few. So we start our next drive, 1st and 10 on our own 6-yard line with 10 minutes and 35 seconds left in the half. We're in the gun. We run Miles Sanders to the left. Excellent blocking by Dickerson and Kelsey at the line of scrimmage. And then Kelsey, after blocking at the line of scrimmage, goes downfield and blocks even more, springing Sanders for a 13-yard run and a 1st and 10 on our 19. We're in the gun again. Hurts drops back, throws a pass to A.J. Brown. They bring 4. We have excellent protection. Hurts throws to A.J. Brown, who's covered pretty well by Fuller, but the ball is high, and A.J. Brown is able to jump up while Fuller has his back to the ball, makes an excellent catch for a 38-yard gain down to Washington's 43. This is something that you've always heard about receivers making quarterbacks better, and this is exactly what they're talking about. I have mentioned it a few times so far, but in Eagles history, when you think about some of our wide receivers, Pinkston and we go back to Williams and who do we have? Aguilar and none of these guys made excellent, outstanding catches. So our quarterbacks couldn't throw the ball a little bit higher than they should and expect them or hope that they can jump and make a play. When you have somebody like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith did it this game, and we'll talk about him too. Even Quez Watkins, you can throw them open by putting the ball in a spot that their corner won't get, but they have a shot to get by jumping or leaping for the ball. Contested catches. When's the last time we had a receiver that was fighting for the ball? Since Terrell Owens, really. So this is one of the instances where I think A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, even Pascal are going to improve Hurts's game by allowing him to throw somewhat not inaccurate, but throw passes that are not in spots where they're not open, and they'll work to get them. And this is the first example, right? So A.J. Brown's running down the field, covered pretty well. Fuller's right behind him, but the ball's high, and A.J. Brown can see it because Fuller has his back to the quarterback. He's focused on A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown jumps up in the air, grabs the ball. Fuller, I'm sure Fuller tries to knock it down, but he can't because A.J. Brown has it held in his strong hands. He falls to the ground. It's a 38-yard gain and a 1st and 10 on Washington's 43. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. We pick it up easy. They're in zone. Devontae Smith finds a spot. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. 13-yard completion brings up 1st and 10 on Washington's 30. Hurts in the gun again. A.J. Brown is wide right. Pascal's in the right slot. Pascal runs to the right flat, so shallow, and A.J. Brown runs straight downfield, creating a natural pick. Hurts has great protection and throws a quick, accurate pass. Pascal runs for an extra 10 yards after the catch for a 13-yard completion, brings up 1st and 10 on Washington's 17. We run the same play that we just ran to the right. This time we run it to the left. The difference is Smith is wide left instead of A.J. Brown and can't get in their corner's way, wild goose. So the pass only goes for 1 yard. Thrown to Pascal, and he's only able to get 1 yard because Smith can't get in front of wild goose to prevent him from tackling Pascal. So that brings up 2nd and 9 on Washington's 16. Hurts is in the gun. We have 5 receivers, so empty slot. It's a planned run. Hurts hikes the ball, immediately runs up the middle. Only gets 4 yards on 2nd and 9. So that brings up 3rd and 5. We're on Washington's 12. Hurts in the gun again. He drops back, has excellent protection. Nobody's open, so he scrambles to the left and runs to Washington's 8 for 4 yards. Washington calls their first timeout with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left in the half. We got 4th and 1 on their 8. Hurts is on their under center. Pascal is in motion from left to right. Hurts takes a snap, immediately hands off to Pascal, who's continuing right. Now, from what I could tell from the all 22 of every player, I think Pascal has space if he strings it out all the way outside. And I think he had an advantage because he was in motion and grabbed the snap while he was sprinting. Instead, he cuts up field. He's tackled right away. He tries to push through the tackle, but can't get enough for a first down. So on 4th and 1, we go for it, and we can't gain anything. We're on Washington's 8. So Washington gets the ball 1st and 10 on their 9 with 7:08 left in the half. They run Gibson to the left. They're able to block Jordan Davis outside, opening a hole for Gibson. And TJ Edwards over pursues to the right, allowing him to get to the second level for 11-yard run and a 1st and 10. Washington on their own 20. Wentz in the gun again. Their tight end Bates chips Graham on his way to the right flat. But Graham's able to get into Wentz's face, causing a poor, uncatchable throw to Bates. It's incomplete to the right, and that brings up 2nd and 10 on Washington's 20. Great job by Brandon Graham to work through that chip and get in the way of the pass. 3rd and 10, Washington on their own 20. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Initially, we can't get any pressure. Again, Wentz misses a wide open tight end Bates over the middle and throws in the direction of McLaren. McLaren had a step on Slay. If he throws the ball right away, right, if he looks that way and immediately throws the ball, throws it on a rope, no floater, I think he could have fit it in between Slay, above Slay, because Slay was trailing him in trailing position, and underneath Gardner Johnson, who has over the top position. But the throw is poor. He waits too long. It's high and slightly behind McLaurin, and it falls incomplete. So thank goodness Wentz is such a poor quarterback and is constantly second guessing himself. Because if he would have immediately acted and threw that ball on a rope, that probably would have been a completion. That's a ball that Hurts would have thrown, right? And that's the difference. I'm not saying that Hurts is any physically more gifted than Wentz. We don't know that. It would be hard to determine that. But Hurts has been making good, quick decisions, and that's what you want to do. You want to find an open man and get him the ball immediately. So that incompletion brings up 3rd and 10, Washington on their own 20. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Coverage is excellent downfield, which it has been most of the game. Reddick beats their right tackle Cosme outside, is able to hit Wentz's arm as he's about to throw, causes another strip sack. Unfortunately, Wentz is able to drop on it, but it still is a strip sack, and it is an 8-yard loss. Good job by Reddick going outside. Finally, Reddick is starting to produce. He's been quiet the first few games, but he's starting to make a difference. And I think our team, and I'm hopeful that the defense is starting to really gel and get a good and get comfortable the way that they, that they're working. So, all right. So that 8-yard loss on that sack fumble brings up 4th and 17. Washington punts. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 36. 5 minutes and 45 seconds left in the first half. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. He fakes to Sanders. Has great protection. Throws a deep ball to Watkins, who has a few steps on Wild Goose. But the pass is just in front of Watkins, and he can't quite reach it. most likely affected the timing because earlier in the route, Wild Goose pass interfered, slowed him down. So hopefully the reason wasn't a bad pass. It was just a poor timing because of the interference. So that pass interference gives us 1st and 10 on Washington's 47. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. We pick it up. Hurts throws a pass to the right to Stahl for 4 yards. Quick, accurate pass into the flat. Brings up 2nd and 6 on Washington's 43. Hurts in the gun. He throws a screen to Goddard. Sweat is in coverage and reads the play very well and tackles Goddard for only 1 yard gain. So that brings up 3rd and 5 on Washington's 42. Hurts is in the gun. He has an empty backfield, 5 receivers. He drops back. They bring 5. Our offensive line does a great job picking it up. Devontae Smith is in the left slot and runs a slant, an inside slant. He has a step on their corner Fuller, but Pascal, who's running an inside crossing route, steps in front of Fuller. Then quickly moves out of the way, doesn't hit him, and that creates even more separation for Smith. Hurts sees him. There's a quick, accurate pass. Because of that separation, Smith is able to get 27 yards after the catch for a total of 31-yard completion. That brings up 1st and 10 on Washington's 11. We're in the gun again. We run Gainwell to the right. He only gets 2 yards. Sayamalu, who I would say is our weak link on the offensive line. He's the one that I think struggles the most. He can't block their defensive tackle Ridgway, so Gainwell cuts it inside to the right into the arms of their linebacker Davis. So that 2 yard gain brings up 2nd and 8 on Washington's 9. Hurts in the gun again, fakes to Sanders, rolls right. A.J. Brown is open, but Hurts waits a few more steps to throw. He has to throw the ball inside and can't lead Brown because linebacker Davis is in the way. McGain is able to knock it down because he's not leading Brown and Davis is in good position. I just sit here talking about how Wentz hesitates and how Hurts doesn't. This is a situation where he shouldn't have. If he throws that ball more quickly, not only is Davis not in the picture as much and he can lead A.J. Brown more, but A.J. Brown isn't as well covered. Not as much congestion. So a little hesitation on Hurts, but not an interception, and that's what's most important, right? So we call our first timeout with 3 minutes left in the half, brings up 3rd and 8 on Washington's 9. Hurts in the gun. We have an empty backfield. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is to the right. Goddard, Gainwell, and Watkins are on the left. Hurts drops back. A.J. Brown, again, is wide right and runs a deep slant. Hurts has good protection. Throws a quick, accurate pass to Brown, who has St. Juste actually hanging on his waist when he catches the ball. A.J. Brown jumps forward, moves forward, and gets into the end zone for a 9-yard touchdown catch. So excellent quick play throw by Hurts. Great job of avoiding the tackle and catching the ball and jumping into the end zone by A.J. Brown. So that's that big physical receiver that we've been missing, right? Extra points good, so that makes the score 17-0 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That was a 6-play, 64-yard drive that took 2 minutes and 49 seconds off the clock. Commanders get the ball. We kick off. Commanders get the ball 1st and 10 on their own 25 with 2:56 left in the half. Wentz in the gun. We bring 5. Wentz throws the ball out quickly to Samuel to the right-hand side, but it's too high. Samuel tries to catch it, but he can't. Another inaccurate throw by Wentz. Brings up 2nd and 10 on Washington's own 25. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. This time we're not able to get any pressure. McKissick is open underneath. Wentz throws a pass to him, but it's behind him. He can't catch it. Falls incomplete. Another poor pass by Wentz. That brings up 3rd and 10. Washington on their own 25. Wentz in the gun again. Throws a screen to Dotson. TJ Edwards, a great game, does a good job running between two offensive linemen that are out there to block. He had great blocking, but TJ Edwards knifes in between the two, makes the tackle for only a 3-yard gain. That brings up 4th and 7 on Washington's 28. They punt. It's a 57-yard punt, but there is an illegal blindside block on Josh Jobe. So we get the ball after that punt, the 2-minute warning, we get the ball 1st and 10 on our 12 with 1:57 left in the half. We run Gainwell to the left for 3 yards, brings up 2nd and 7 on our 15. Hurts in the gun. Sweat's able to get outside of Mulata. Montez Sweat is able to get outside of Mulata, pressuring Hurts. Hurts scrambles left. No one's open. Hurts runs out of bounds at the 20 for a 5-yard run. That brings up 3rd and 2 on our 20. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. We do a good job picking it up. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass to Pascal for 4 yards. Brings up 1st and 10 on our 24. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. Their defensive tackle, Payne, gets around Sayamalu and pressures Hurts, who rolls to his right. Devontae Smith runs towards Hurts down the right sideline. And this is a common play of theirs when they're scrambling around and trying to find a man. Hurts throws a pretty accurate pass to Smith. Smith puts his feet on the inbounds line, falls out of bounds to catch it. It does hit his hands, so it was a good pass. He's just not able to complete it, and it does fall incomplete. But again, really good pass by Jalen Hurts. So that incompletion brings up 2nd and 10 on our 24. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. Great protection on our end. Brown runs a crossing pattern underneath. Holcomb gives him a huge cushion, which he should, because Holcomb could never keep up with Brown deep. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. Brown catches it, cuts up field, gets 14 yards after the catch for 15 total yards. We call our second timeout. It's 1st and 10 on our 39 with 43 seconds left in the half. Hurts is in the gun. Empty backfield. Devontae Smith is wide left. Hurts drops back. Defensive end Obata bull rushes Sayamalu into Hurts, forcing him to roll to his left. Smith runs a 5-yard curl and is left alone on the left sideline. Nobody covers him. He drifts downfield while Hurts is scrambling. He's wide open. Hurts is able to find him, throws a quick, accurate pass. Smith gets an extra 6 yards after the catch for a 16-yard play. That brings up 1st and 10 on Washington's 45. Hurts is in the gun again. He drops back. They bring 4. Again, we pick it up. Smith is the only receiver on the left, and he runs a deep fade. He has a step on Fuller. Hurts throws a deep pass. It's a little high, but Smith turns towards his quarterback, Hurts, jumps in the air, catches the ball over Fuller for a 44-yard gain and a 1st and goal on the Washington 1. Again, something that we are not, I'm not used to as an Eagles fan is a receiver making a catch like this, jumping up over the corner, who doesn't turn around. It's Fuller grabbing the ball and coming down with it at the 1-yard line. Technically, I believe this is the play that Devontae Smith was hurt, and so was Washington safety Tony. Because 2 players were hurt within 2 minutes, we each got charged a timeout. So our 3rd timeout was used, and their 2nd timeout was used because of the injury timeout. So we have the ball 1st and goal on their 1. Hurts drops back, throws a pass to over the middle to A.J. Brown. Nobody was open. It was essentially thrown away. So that brings up 2nd and goal on Washington's 1. Hurts in the gun again. Now this time he does a shuffle pass, which is very common. I'm sure you've seen it with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Very successful with the Chiefs, and usually is Travis Kelce that receives it and gets in. And this was a well executed play with one exception. Hurts throws a real shitty shuffle pass. I don't recall exactly how he did it. It wasn't just a quick throw like it should have been. It was almost like he threw it with the wrong hand, anyway, it goes straight to the ground. Stoll was open. Had he gotten the ball to Stoll, easy walk-in touchdown, but he doesn't. So a play that would have been successful that we should probably practice, or Hurts at least should probably practice shoveling the ball with his left hand. So that brings up 3rd and goal on Washington's 1. Hurts in the gun again. It's an RPO. Hurts keeps it, goes to the left, and is tackled by Curl. Curl saw it coming. Hurts wasn't able to get away from him. We lose a yard. Brings up 4th and goal on Washington's 2. We decide to go for it. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. They only bring 4 to keep men in coverage. We easily pick that up, and Hurts has good protection. He throws another high ball to Devontae Smith, who jumps in the air, makes another great catch over the corner, and falls in the corner of the end zone for a 2-yard touchdown. Again, excellent pass by Hurts, putting it only where his receiver can get it. Great job by Devontae Smith jumping up and grabbing it. Extra points good. That makes the score 24-0. That was an 11-play drive. Took 88 yards and 1 minute and 55 seconds off the clock. And that ends the half with the score 24-0. Now it's halftime, so I'm going to take a moment to quickly talk about somebody else here. So here at Philly Sports Alliance, we partner with a couple of people of different podcast networks, I guess you could call it. One of the ones that we cover or we partner with is Six Pack Coverage. So Six Pack Coverage is a media company from Tennessee. You can see on the scrolling thing there that they don't just have sports podcast. They have podcasts for everything. Of course, they have sports, but they also have entertainment, food. I think they have finance, just a whole bunch of different lifestyle podcasts. So check out Six Pack's Coverage. I think we stream on their YouTube and perhaps even their Twitter. You might be watching me on one of those. But check them out. Go to their website. Go to all their socials. Check out all the wealth of podcasts that they have. Learn about finance and money, which is one of the best things you can do. Learn about get tips on entertainment, all that stuff. So that's the Six Pack Coverage. I'll be scrolling at the bottom there, so you won't forget it. Okay, let's get to the third quarter. We deferred when we won the toss in the beginning of the game, so we received the kickoff. 1st and 10 on our 25 to start the third quarter. Hurts in the gun. They bring 4. Excellent protection. Calcaterra is able to find a huge open spot in their zone right in the middle of the field, wide open. Hurts finds him and throws a quick, accurate pass. Calcaterra is able to dodge a tackle by their safety Forrest, gets 21 yards after the catch for a 40-yard completion. I mentioned Calcaterra had his first NFL completion, and it was an amazing one, 40 yards. Imagine that. Imagine being your first game drafted in the 7th round, was he? Look at that. I told you my memory's horrible. Drafted late in the draft, gets in, and his first reception is a 40-yard completion to the left from Hurts. So that gives us a 1st and 10 on Washington's 35. We run Miles Sanders up the middle. Their defensive tackle Allen gets inside of Opeta and into the backfield and tackles Sanders for no gain. Brings up 2nd and 10 on Washington's 35. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. Obata gets inside on Malata and sacks Hurts for a 9-yard loss. So, our offensive line, I would say overall is very good, but doesn't mean they're perfect. And this was one of those instances where Malata is not able to handle Obata, and Hurts gets sacked. So that brings up 3rd and 19 on Washington. We're on Washington's 44. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 5. We pick it up. Hurts throws a deep pass to an open Smith down to the right sideline. The pass is a little short, and St. Juice is able to get his hands up and knock it down. That brings up 4th and 19 on Washington's 44. So we punt. The Commanders start the next drive, 1st and 10 on their own 20 with 13 minutes left in the third quarter. They run Gibson to the right. Reddick does a great job containing Gibson, and he's able to cut back and find 6 yards, making it 2nd and 4, Washington on their own 26. Wentz in the gun again. Hands off to Gibson to the left-hand side. He trips over his own tight end, Thomas, while he's pulling to block, and loses 3 yards. Touchdown by TJ Edwards. Thank you. That brings up 3rd and 7, Washington on their own 23. Wentz in the gun again. Throws a pass over the middle to Samuel. Gardner Johnson is in coverage, hits him immediately, limits the play to only 4 yards on 3rd and 7. So it brings up 4th and 3, and they punt. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 21 with 10:56 left in the third quarter. They run Miles Sanders to the left. Opeta can't get downfield and block Davis in time. That's his job. He pulled, and Davis is able to tackle Miles Sanders for only a 3-yard gain. Brings up 2nd and 7 on our 24. Hurts throws a screen to Devontae Smith, well blocked downfield, this time by Goddard and Lane Johnson. Good job by Goddard to do a good job. Good job for doing a good job by Goddard to help spring that screen for a 13-yard passing play, bringing up 1st and 10 on our 37. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 4. Their defensive tackle Payne gets around Sayamalu, pressures Hurts, so he has to scramble up the middle, gets 4 yards, brings up 2nd and 6 on our 41. Hurts in the gun again, runs to the right. It's an RPO. He keeps it, and he's pushed out of bounds for a 3-yard gain to the right-hand side. All right. So that brings up 3rd and 3 on our 44. We're in the gun again. We run Gainwell this time to the right. Defensive end Sweat drags Jack Stoll down the line of scrimmage, congests the middle, and Gainwell is only able to get 1 yard. Our tight ends have to practice tackling, I would say, is an important thing to do. So it brings up 4th and 2 on our 45. So we punt. Commanders start the next drive, 1st and 10 on their 11 with 7:43 left in the third quarter. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Graham bull rushes their right tackle Cosme into Wentz, hitting him just as he releases the ball. We have excellent coverage. The ball's thrown underneath to Gibson, who's running across the flat. TJ Edwards makes an open field tackle and limits the gain to only 2 yards. Brings up 2nd and 8. Washington on their own 13. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Can't get to Wentz. He throws underneath to McLaurin. White tackles him immediately. Gain of 6 yards. So that brings up 3rd and 2. Washington on their own 19. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. Bradbury jumps in front of Thomas to knock the ball down. We're in zone. Nobody was open. Excellent play by Bradbury to make a 3-and-out by Washington. They punt. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 41. 6:05 left in the third quarter. Hurts in the gun. They bring 4. We're able to protect them. No one's open, so Hurts throws down underneath to Goddard, but Holcomb's able to break it up for an incompletion. Brings up 2nd and 10 on our 41. Hurts is in the gun. He fakes to Sanders. They bring 4. We pick it up. Hurts has excellent protection, has plenty of time to find A.J. Brown open downfield, running a post pattern. Hurts throws the ball just a little too far, overthrows him a little. So that brings up 3rd and 10 on our 41. Hurts in the gun again. They bring 3, putting extra men in the secondary. Hurts has even more time, rolls to the right, can't find anybody open, and then throws it away. So we got a 4th and 10 on our 41, so we punt. Commanders start their next drive, 1st and 10 on their 6, with 5 minutes and 37 seconds left in the third quarter. They run Gibson to the left for 5 yards, tackled by TJ Edwards. Brings up 2nd and 5, Washington on their own 11. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Can't get to him. We're in zone. Samuel's able to find a spot for 3 yards, but Bradbury hits him immediately. So good, solid tackling after the receptions too. That's important, right? So they have 3rd and 2 on their own 14. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. Throws a short pass to McKissick for 2 yards. So that's a first down completion. Brings up 1st and 10 Washington on their own 16. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Aren't able to get pressure. Nobody's open, so Wentz has to climb the pocket. He misses Dotson open over the middle and just runs when he climbs the pocket forward, and he's able to get 7 yards. So that brings up 2nd and 3 on Washington's 23. Hurts in the gun again. They run McKissick to the right. Kaiser White does an excellent job filling the hole, and we stop him for no gain. Bringing up 3rd and 3, Washington on their own 23. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get any pressure. Thomas runs a 5-and-out. Edwards can't get there in time to break up the pass. It's completed for 5 yards, and that brings up a 1st and 10 Washington on their 28. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. McLaurin is wide left and runs a deep fade. Slay has him covered underneath. Assumes, and he does have help from Gardner Johnson up top. But Gardner Johnson just doesn't time it right. Can't get there in time. Wentz actually throws a good, accurate pass, and they have a 45-yard completion to McLaurin. That brings up a 1st and 10 on our 27. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get any pressure. No one's open. Deep, so he dumps it off underneath to McKissick in the left slot, in the left flat. He has a step on Kaiser White, and he's able to get 3 yards. Brings up 2nd and 7 on our 24. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. Can't get any pressure on Wentz. No one's open. Wentz throws to Samuel. Maddox has good coverage. Easily knocks the ball down. Good play by our secondary. That brings up a 3rd and 7 on our 24. They false start. 3rd and 12 on our 29. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Brandon Graham pushes their tight end Bates inside. Has a clean shot at Wentz. Dotson runs a deep curl and gets open. Wentz is able to get rid of the ball and throw a good pass to Dotson right before he gets hit by Graham. But fortunately, Dotson drops it. So that brings up 4th and 12 on our 29. They go to punt. I'm sorry. They go to kick a field goal. The 47-yard field goal is good. However, Jordan Davis commits unnecessary roughness, and they get another, and their downs are renewed. So it's 1st and 10. They have the ball now on our 14. Wentz in the gun. drops back. We bring 5, can't get to Wentz. He throws a quick pass to McLaurin, who's covered by Slay. Slay gives McLaurin a cushion because, of course, he's a quick receiver. He's able to get open on a deep 10-yard and out. The completion is 10 yards, and that gives them first and goal on our 4. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 6. Epps has a clean run at Wentz. He's one of the blitzers, but Wentz quickly throws the ball to Samuel. Samuel's covered. The ball's over his head, and it's incomplete. So that brings up second and goal on our 4. They run Gibson to the right. We bring 6. Sweat throws his man inside, cuts off the outside, so Gibson can't go to the outside, who changes direction and runs right. Gardner Johnson does a great job pursuing Gibson, able to tackle him for a 10-yard loss. Great play by the defense on second and goal from our 4. And that ends the third quarter. That was a quick quarter, huh? So we start the fourth quarter. Washington has the ball, third and goal on our 14. They're in the gun. Wentz scrambles to the left for 13 yards. Brings up fourth and goal on our 1. Wentz in the gun again. They do a shuffle pass. Wentz actually throws it decently to Thomas, but Maddox hits Thomas low, puts his shoulder right into Thomas's hips as soon as he catches the pass, stops his momentum immediately. Gardner Johnson, TJ Edwards come to help. They finish him up. They don't let him get any far forward. He doesn't cross the goal line. Excellent goal line stance on fourth and goal on the 1. We get the ball first and 10 on our 1-yard line with 14 minutes and 10 seconds left in the game. We try running Boston Scott up the middle. Payne runs right through Goddard. Another poor block by Goddard. Runs right through him, hits Scott in the backfield in the end zone for a 1-yard loss and a safety. Really disappointing because at that moment I was hopeful that we were able to get a shutout. Right, we were able to which at this point their offense still hasn't scored, but still not a shutout. Right. So we got to do that free kick. Sipos punts the ball. A 70-yard punt is what it says here to Washington's 10, but their Milne returns it for 29 yards. So they begin first and 10 on their own 39 with 13:58 left in the game. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Can't get to Wentz. We're in zone, which we're not as good at. We're not as good in zone as we are in man. McKissick runs a curl right underneath Kaiser White. Wentz throws a quick, accurate pass over the middle to McKissick for 9 yards. It brings up second and 1, Washington on their own 48. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get to him. So White, and this happens I think this happens 2 times, maybe on this drive, or at least, of course, in this quarter. But White and Bradbury follow their tight end Bates deep. Wide receiver Dotson is right underneath in the flat, wide open. Wentz finds him, throws a short pass for 5 yards. He's tackled immediately, so it's not a significant gain, but on second and 1, that is a first down. Brings up first and 10, Washington on our 47. Wentz in the gun. We bring 5. Maddox is on the blitz from the left, but their running back McKissick is able to pick him up. Wentz throws a deep ball to a well-covered Dotson, and the ball is overthrown as well. So it falls incomplete. Wentz misses Thomas wide open over the middle. Thank you for that. So that brings up second and 10. They have the ball on our 47. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. TJ Edwards rushes. He's the rusher. And McKissick actually stays in the blocks and does a good job. But he's able to TJ Edwards is able to get around that block by McKissick, pressures Wentz. Meanwhile, Samuel is running an underneath route while Thomas is running deep. Similar play as to the other one that I mentioned before. Samuel's open. Epps can't get there in time. So it's a 5-yard completion on second and 10. Brings up third and 5 on our 42. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. Bradbury and White go deep with the 2 deep routes, leaving McKissick wide open underneath. And this is you're noticing a pattern here. Wentz can't get the deep guys, so they have them draw our secondary deep, and then they run a wide receiver, a slot guy, or a running back underneath. And they're just dropping off 5-yard passes. So this time it's to the right to McKissick for 5 yards. Brings up first and 10 on our 37. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. We're in man. Slay is man on man on McLaurin. He gives him a 10-yard cushion. He's lined up. He starts lined up to the right or outside of McLaurin. McLaurin runs a 5-yard and in, so he's a little bit out of position, Slay is. TJ Edwards gets a free rush at Wentz, but Wentz backpedals to avoid the sack, gets the ball away, gets it to McLaurin, who had that space from Slay for an 8-yard completion. Brings up 2nd and 2 on our 29. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. We can't get pressure. The pass is over the middle to Gibson, and unfortunately, Kaiser White hits Gibson while the ball is in the air. Pass interference, does fall incomplete, but it is a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down. So they got 1st and 10 on our 24. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. TJ Edwards has really good coverage on Dotson. Wentz sees that, still tries to throw to him, tries to lead Dotson away from Edwards, but the ball's too far in front of him, and it falls incomplete. Poor pass by Wentz. Brings up 2nd and 10 on our 24. Wentz has the ball, and Wentz is in the gun. He throws a screen to McKissick. We bring 5. Graham and Patrick Johnson beat their men outside. Johnson hits Wentz low. Graham hits him high, and the screen to McKissick is poor and hits the ground before it gets to McKissick for an incompletion. Excellent job by Patrick Johnson and Brandon Graham beating their men outside, and they're the wide ends they're the wide ends. So their goal is to oftentimes just run around the left and right tackles. So that incompletion brings up 3rd and 10. Washington's on our 24. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. No pressure. Another underneath pass to Samuel. This time he's able to get 10 yards. Brings up 1st and 10 on our 14. Wentz in the gun again. So this was a broken up play, I believe, as well. Washington's right side of their offensive line acts like this is a screen, blocks, and then seems to run downfield. Lets Brandon Graham and Cox in for a free run on Samuel, and he's tackled for a 2-yard loss. Brings up 2nd and 12 on our 16. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. Our coverage downfield is excellent. Brandon Graham beats their right tackle Cosme again outside, gets his hands on the ball. Wentz tries to back out of it and falls for a sack and a 10-yard loss. Excellent play by Graham. So after that 10-yard sack, it's 3rd and 22 on our 26. Wentz is in the gun again. We bring 4. This time we can't get to him. Slay's in man on McLaurin, who runs a deep out. Slave gives him a 5-yard cushion, gets turned around when he goes outside. McLaurin gets open. Wentz throws the pass a little high, and McLaurin can't catch it. So another poor pass to an open receiver by Carson Wentz. That incompletion brings up a 4th and 22 on our 26. They decide to go for it. Wentz is in the gun. We bring 4. All their receivers run go routes, which is important to know. A go route takes longer to develop. Your guy is streaming down the field with his back to you. You can't throw him the ball. And if he's going to run a deep route and not look at you for a while, you got to have good protection. We only bring 4 people, so we're covering well in the secondary. But Sweat still beats their right tackle Cosme. You've heard his name a couple of times. He beats him outside, forcing Wentz to step up. Patrick Johnson's able to get inside of left tackle Leno, forcing Wentz to move to his left. Sweat naturally goes that way, catches up to him, sacks him for a 5-yard loss. And I mentioned these deep routes because when Wentz started to get pressure on him initially by Patrick Johnson, by Sweat beating right tackle Cosme, the receivers haven't even turned around yet. They still have their backs to him. They're running deep patterns because it is 4th and 22. They have to, and so that's a perfect opportunity. It would have been a great opportunity to blitz, to bring 5-6 guys, but we didn't need to. We're still able to get to Wentz before his receivers are open and sack him for a 5-yard loss on 4th and 22. So we get the ball 1st and 10 on our 32-yard line, 8:55 left in the game. We run Miles Sanders up the middle. Great blocking by Malata and Kelsey. He gets 6 yards, brings up 2nd and 4 on our 38. We run Miles Sanders again, this time to the right for 3 yards. Brings up 3rd and 1 on our 41. Hurts in the gun. Runs the RPO, which is the run pass option. He holds the ball. possibly gives it to the running back and looks at the defensive end to see if he's going to crash down to get the running back or go straight up the field to go after Hurts. He keeps it. Hurts keeps it. And on 3rd and 1, he gets 4 yards. Brings up 1st and 10 on our 45. We run Sanders to the left for no gain. Allen is able to get inside of Mulata, and there Montez Sweat bull rushes Jock Stoll, collapses the hole, and Sanders can't get any yardage. Brings up 2nd and 10 on our 45. Hurts is in the gun. They bring 5. Their defensive end, who's on the left, Montez Sweat, has a free run at Hurts. Hurts sees it coming, quickly dumps it off to Sanders in the flat. What Sanders does is he tries to swing around whoever was covering him to get open, but that did not work. In fact, he backs up and loses 2 yards on play because their corner Forrest is able to tackle him well in the open field for that 2-yard loss. So that brings up 3rd and 12. We have the ball on our 43. Hurts in the gun again. He drops back. They bring 4. Their defensive tackle, Allen, bull rushes Opeta, who holds him. And when he falls back because he gets bull rushed, he brings him to the ground. That pressure causes Hurts to scramble to his left and out of bounds for 0 yards. Technically, that's a sack because he ran out of bounds for a 0-yard gain. Kind of a bullshit. I don't know. I wouldn't give. Who do you give credit to that sack for? And I don't consider that a sack. In any case, Opeta is holding. I mentioned that, so there's a penalty, but they decline it, and it's 4th and 12 on our 43. We punt. The Commanders start their next drive, 1st and 10 on their own 13 with 5:05 left in the game. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. No pressure. They run their tight end Thomas deep. Bradbury and White follow him again. Dotson's wide open underneath. Wentz completes the pass for 7 yards. Brings up 2nd and 3 on Washington's own 20. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. Slay gets too deep in his zone. McLaurin finds a little spot underneath. Wentz throws an accurate pass over underneath Slay. And it's an 18-yard completion. That gives Washington a 1st and 10 on their own 38. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 4. Teron Jackson is in. He uses a spin move to get inside on their left tackle Leno, causing Wentz to move to his left, still looking downfield. Initially, we have good coverage and no one is open, but McLaurin, when he sees Wentz strolling, breaks towards Wentz and gets open. Wentz makes a poor pass over McLaurin's head, and he can't catch it. So that brings up 2nd and 10, Washington on their own 38. Wentz in the gun again. We bring 5. Coverage is excellent. Davis and TJ Edwards cross stunt. Davis runs inside, gets a free run at Wentz. Wentz is able to duck and move around Davis's tackle, but TJ Edwards is there waiting for him and sacks him for a 3-yard loss. So just so you know what a cross stunt is, imagine the defensive line and you got 4 guys lined up on the line. The outside guys initially block and then cut inside. The inside guys initially block, back up, and go around the outside. And it can be very difficult for offensive linemen if they're not communicating well to pick that up. It was very successful against us last year. All right, so after that TJ Edwards sack for a 3-yard loss brings up 3rd and 13. Washington's on their own 35. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Hargrave slides to the right of their center Schweitzer, gets around him and forces Wentz to roll to the left. Wentz is able to find McKissick open on the sideline. Kaiser White, who's in coverage, holds McKissick. So it's a 9-yard completion plus a defensive holding penalty of 5 yards. Brings up a 1st and 10. Washington has the ball on their own 40. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. White and McPherson follow their tight end Rogers deep. Again, the corner and the linebacker are following one man deep, avoiding the underneath zone if we're in zone. I'm assuming we are. McKissick is able to run out of the backfield underneath. To the left, Wentz throws the ball accurately to him. He gets an 8-yard completion. Tackled and face masked by Zech McPherson. So it's another 15 yards we're adding on to that play. 2 significant penalties here. So that brings so Washington has the ball 1st and 10 on our 37 now. Wentz in the gun. He throws a screen to Samuel. Epps does an excellent job reading it. Comes up, makes a good open field tackle. Otherwise, Washington had good blocking downfield. So that good play by Epps limits the completion to 5 yards. That gives Washington the ball 2nd and 5 on their 32. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Can't get to Wentz. McKissick runs a crossing route underneath White. The ball is placed well. White is behind him by a step. But this time McKissick drops it. So it's either Wentz throwing a poor pass or their receivers dropping him, one or the other. Either way, I'll take it. And I'm hopeful that this kind of luck, I want to say it's luck because we haven't dropped an awful lot of passes, but it seems like our opponents have. So let's hope that this trend, how about that? This trend continues. So Washington has the ball 3rd and 5 on our 32. Wentz in the gun. We bring 4. Can't get pressure. McPherson is in for Slay and his man on McLaurin. McLaurin is able to get a step inside. Wentz throws a quick, accurate pass for 15 yards. Brings up 1st and 10. Washington is on our 17. Wentz is in the gun again. We bring 4. This time we're doing a good job in coverage downfield. Patrick Johnson, our linebacker, beats their right tackle Cosme outside, causing Wentz to step up. He runs right. Johnson releases and chases him, eventually forcing it to throw it away. Good play by both Patrick Johnson. Actually, I'm sorry. That's a good play by Patrick Johnson. He beats their right tackle Cosme outside, causes Wentz to step up. Johnson releases and continues in pursuit and chases Wentz out of bounds. Next, so it's 2nd and 10. Washington is on our 17. We bring 4. Can't get any pressure. Bradbury is man on Milne. He runs a 5 and out. Bradbury over pursues outside, putting him out of position when Milne. I'm sorry, he doesn't run a 5 and out. He runs a 5 out and in. So Milne runs 5 yards, goes out towards the sideline, and then immediately cuts in. Bradbury over pursues on that outside, not expecting him to cut inside. Milne cuts inside. Bradbury's out of position. Wentz is able to actually complete this pass for 12 yards, gives them a 1st and goal on our 5. They run Gibson up the middle for 1 yard. Then after that play, the 2-minute warning. So that brings up 2nd and goal on our 1 with 2 minutes left in the game. And they run Gibson to the left for 1 yard, and he's easily able to run in for a touchdown. They go for the 2-point conversion. Wentz is in the gun. He drops back. We bring 5. They pick up all of our blockers. Wentz has plenty of time, but the coverage, even though we've rushed an extra man, we got our coverage is excellent. Wentz throws one up for McKissick, and Epps is there to pick it off. Doesn't count as an interception, I don't think, but is a failed attempt. So they try an onside kick. We're able to catch it. Goddard is able to secure the ball. Didn't try to advance, just caught it and went down. So that essentially ends the game. We have the ball. We start the next drive, 1st and 10 on their 45 with a minute 54 left in the game. We run Miles Sanders up the middle for 2 yards. Washington calls their first timeout with a minute 50 left. 2nd and 8. We have the ball on their 43. We run Miles Sanders to the right for 5 yards. Washington calls their second timeout. 3rd and 3. We have the ball on Washington's 38 with a minute 46 seconds left. We run Miles Sanders to the right. They bring 6. They overload the right side that we happen to run to, and they're able to tackle Miles Sanders for a 1-yard loss. Washington calls their last timeout with 1:41 left in the game. We have 4th and 4 on their 39. Hurts is in the gun, empty backfield. So that means 5 receivers, nobody in the backfield to block. They bring 5. Dickerson blocks down. Malata blocks outside. So you have 1 crash down, 1 shoot to the outside, leaving a wide open lane for their linebacker Davis to have an untouched run. It hurts. A.J. Brown is wide left. He runs an excellent route. He runs 4 yards, cuts outside, then back inside, similar to the route that Bradbury was unsuccessful on. Their corner Holmes is in man on Brown, over pursues on that outside cut, just like Bradbury. A.J. Brown has a step, and before Davis can get to Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. On 4th and 4, it's a 10-yard completion. That brings up a 1st and 10 on Washington's 29. We kneel twice, and that ends the game. The game ends 24-8 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks for joining, Felicity516. Okay, let's see here. Let's get to some highlights, right? Let's talk about some stats. Before I do that, one last thing I want to tell you about is a partnership with the Philly Sports Alliance and the Painted Lines. The Painted Lines is also a media company, but the Painted Lines is more sports. So go check out the Painted Lines. We're streaming on their network. They're streaming on our network. It's a good partnership. So go check out all their stuff. The Painted Lines. Go check out all their socials. Check out all the podcasts they have to offer too. All right, let's talk about some highlights here. So some of the starters you're aware of, and I'll go over play percentage. So of course, Hurts was a starting quarterback. He played 100% of the snaps. Miles Sanders, starting running back. He played 59% of the snaps. Left tackle Malata, 100%. Left guard Dickerson played 84. You saw that I mentioned Opeta a couple of times. He was in for Dickerson for 16% of the plays. I didn't see that Dickerson was injured, at least not meaningfully. Center Kelsey was in 100%. Right guard Sayamalu 100%. Right tackle Lane Johnson 100%. AJ Brown was the starting receiver 80%. Smith, Devontae Smith, starting receiver, 89% of snaps. And Quez Watkins was the third starting receiver with 47% of the snaps. And then Goddard was our starting tight end. He played 64% of the snaps. We played Jack Stoll 53% of the snaps. Pascal played 43. And I mentioned Opeta already. He played 16 in relief of Dickerson. Hurts ended the game 22 completions on 35 attempts. That's a 62.9 completion percentage. That would land him probably average in the NFL if he stayed it that way. But he's been much better in as far as completion percentage in other games. 340 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 3 times and lost 12 yards. And he had a quarterback rating of 123.5, which is excellent. He added to that 9 rushes for 20 yards, which is a 2.2 average. I'm okay with that. I would rather over time, the amount of rushes he has declines. I would like his average to stay higher, but I don't want him to expose himself to injury, right? That's my whole thing if you listen to my podcast, right? Through week 3, he is the second ranked quarterback according to Pro Football Focus, if you put any value in their rankings. And he is the only quarterback, again, according to Pro Football Focus, the only quarterback with 0 turnover-worthy plays. Of course, there's a minimum 50 dropbacks. I say turnover-worthy plays because he did have 1 interception that was tipped by Kenneth Gainwell. Miles Sanders was our leading rusher. He had 15 rushes for 46 yards, a 3.1 average, below his typical average running. And he was targeted once and had 1 reception for only 2 yards. So a little bit of a rough game for Sanders. I mentioned he missed a couple of holes, but we didn't run him often either. So hopefully we get him a little more involved next week. Devontae Smith was our leading receiver. It's probably going to toggle between him and Brown every game. He was targeted 12 times, had 8 receptions, 169 yards, 21.1 average yard per reception, and 1 touchdown. AJ Brown was targeted 10 times. He had 5 receptions for 85 yards and a 17-yard average. He had a touchdown. According to Pro Football Focus, AJ Brown is the 3rd ranked wide receiver in the NFL. And I mentioned, speaking about our receivers, when was the last time we had receivers that were making plays like this? I can't remember. So this is an exciting time to be an Eagles fan. Other rankings on the offense, Jason Kelsey, again, according to Pro Football Focus, is the 2nd ranked center. The Eagles are 3rd in the NFL in no-huddle snaps through week 3 with 49. They're currently averaging about 16.3 no-huddle snaps per game. And in comparison, last year, they only averaged 9.8. So that's a pretty significant increase year over year and could possibly be a trend through the season. To think about some fun early numbers, right? You can always project out, right? If A.J. Brown continues on this path, he's on pace for 1,751 receiving yards. Devontae Smith is on pace for 1,411 receiving yards. And Dallas Goedert's on pace for 952. How amazing would it be if we had 2,000-yard receivers in 1 year? It's been years since we even had one. I think the last one was I just lost his name. I can't. I'll think of it. One of our receivers, It's killing me now. See, I told you my memory's horrible. Jeremy Maclin was our last 1,000-yard receiver before Devontae Smith did it last year, and it's just embarrassing because he was not a quality receiver. On defense, our starters, defensive tackles, Hargrave, who played 53% of the plays. Cox started 47% of the plays. Jordan Davis, he only played 31%. I think it was 24 snaps, and that's been relatively consistent. He's been at around 22 to 24 snaps every game. Our defensive ends were Sweat at 61% of the snaps. Linebackers were Reddick at 56%. Edwards played 96%, had a great game. Corners were Slay. He played 79%. We heard McPherson was in there for 21% in relief. Bradbury played 100% of snaps. Nickel corner Maddox played 95. Gardner Johnson played 100. Epps played 100. Brandon Graham, who had an excellent game, only played 27 snaps, which is 35% of them. Kaiser White played 60 snaps. That's 78%. Milton Williams played 38 snaps. That was 49%. That's good to see those young guys get in there. And Zach McPherson, I mentioned already, played 16 snaps in relief of Slay for a little bit. Our defense for a second game only allowed less than 100 yards rushing, this time 87, and they only allowed 211 yards passing, which is excellent. We had 4 sacks in the first quarter. The first time that's happened since 1991. In 1991, we sacked Troy Aikman 11 times in a game, and 4 of them was in the first quarter. That's an amazing stat. Anytime our stats, defensive stats are against the positive stats are against the Cowboys, it's always good. Cowgirls. We also had 6 sacks in the first half. That's the third time that's ever happened since 1991. So defense is really stepping up. Wentz had a horrible game. He was 25 for 43. That's a 58.1 completion percentage. Very poor. I'd say anything below 63 is not good. He only threw for 211 yards. He had 0 touchdowns. He didn't have any picks, and his quarterback rating was 71. We hit him 16 times. He was pressured on 16% of his dropbacks, which is most so far this season for him. He was blitzed 25.5% of his dropbacks, which is the least amount this season. So we blitzed the least amount and pressured him the most. Our 4-man rush was successful. That's exactly what that says. And you heard throughout my in-depth analysis how often we rushed 4 men and were able to get to him. His first half stats were frankly embarrassing. He was 3 for 10. That's 30% completion percentage, poor. 24 yards, sacked 6 times. He lost 40 yards in those sacks. He fumbled the ball twice and lost one of them. If you take the 40 yards lost for those sacks, Washington as a team had a net negative 16 yards passing in the first half. So again, a testament to our defense. And speaking of ratings, Pro Football Focus has TJ Edwards rated as the 3rd best linebacker in the NFL. Third down efficiency, we were 5 for 15. We need to improve that. That's 33.3%. Washington was 6 for 17. That's 35.3%. Fourth down, not bad, 2 for 3. 66%. They were 0 for 2. That's excellent for our defense. Red zone efficiency, we were 2 for 4. We need to bump that up. That's, of course, 50%, and they were 1 for 3, and that's, of course, 33%. Goal to go. So when we had the ball inside the 10, and it was 1st, 2nd, and 3rd and goal, we were 1 and 1, which is great, 100%. They were 1 for 2, which is 50. Total net yards, we had 400. You know what? I want to say we've had over 400 every game so far this year. It's only been 3 games, right? But that's still amazing. We had 72 rushing and 328 passing. Washington had a total net 264 yards, 87 rushing, 153 passing. We had 5 penalties for 52 yards. We gotta work on that. They had 4 for 48, and we had the ball for 32 minutes and 54 seconds, while they had it for 27 minutes and 6 seconds. So that's your game highlights. Okay, let's get to a couple of rankings. I'm always interested in these things, not necessarily reflective of how well we're doing, but it's always interesting to see how we pair up against other teams. So first, let's talk about the NFC East standings. Right, we're at the top, 3-0, one of only 2 3-0 teams. The other team are the Miami Dolphins. We have a 3-win win streak, a 3-game win streak. Then the Cowgirls are in second place. They're 2-1. They have a 2-win game streak, a 2-game win streak. The Giants are tied with Dallas, technically in second place, also 2-1, but they've scored less points, so they're technically in third, and they have a 1-loss streak. And then you got the good old Washington Commanders in last place, 1-2, and they have a 2-game losing streak. Offensive rankings. Points per game were ranked 5th with 28.7. Total yards per game were first with 447 yards. Rushing yards per game were 7th with 150.3. Rushing yards per attempt, 14th with 4.4. Passing yards per game were 3rd with 296.7. And passing completion percentage were 7th at 67.35. That number is going to drop. Let me say that. The average is going to drop. Most 67% completion percentage would be top 5 easily by the end of the season. And let's hope we can continue that and other teams can't. Defensive of rankings. Our defense, points allowed per game were 7th with 16.7. Total yards allowed per game were 5th with 296.7. Rushing yards per game were 17th, so not very good, 110 per game. And recently we've done well, but Swift really tore us up. Rushing yards allowed per attempt were 30th with 5.4. Swift. Passing yards per game allowed 6th, 186.7. And opposing quarterbacks or opposing teams' completion percentage were 4th. And that reflects our strong secondary, 57.94. Again, another very important stat, our turnover margin per game, tied for 3rd with a positive 1.3 turnovers per game. Excellent. That is going to be season changing if we can continue that. All right, let's get to some Eagles news. Brandon Graham was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week for his performance against Washington. Remember, he had limited snaps. I think he was in 37 snaps, less than half, a little bit more than half, right? 27 snaps, 35%, and he was Defensive Player of the Week. This is the 3rd week in a row that we've had a player, specifically, well, the last 2 have been defensive, but we've had Players of the Week. Week 1, Special Teams Player of the Week, Zach McPherson. Week 2, Defensive Player of the Week, Darius Slay. Week 3, Defensive Player of the Week, Brandon Graham. Roster moves, I didn't have time to look this guy up because it happened today, but we signed tackle Roderick Johnson to the practice squad. A little NFL news. The NFL announced they've replaced Pepsi as the partner for the Super Bowl halftime show. It is now going to be Apple Music, so they're going to control the halftime music show. And they're replacing the Pro Bowl with a week-long skills competition and a flag football game. They're renaming it the Pro Bowl Games. The AFC and NFC players will still be split, and they'll be showcasing their football and non-football skills in challenges over several days. I'm really curious to see what these non-football skills are. Now, the Pro Bowl was around since 1951, so I guess it lasted 70 years exactly because they did play it last year. Now, the NFL has a big interest in flag football. They partnered with the International Federation of American Football to bring flag football to the World Games in July. And they're attempting to include flag football in the 2028 Olympics held in Los Angeles. Fan voting will still help determine who makes it to the Pro Bowl. But that's an interesting little change. I'm not sure if I don't know if I really care that much. Frankly, I think it's disappointing that the Pro Bowl can't be more competitive. But at the same time, I can sort of understand why you wouldn't want to hurt yourself playing a game that doesn't mean anything. NFL games are averaging, so far this year, NFL games average 7.2 million viewers per game. That's the best start to a season since 2016. And the NFL has the 19 most viewed shows on TV since the season started. All 19 of the top viewed TV shows since the NFL season started are NFL games. So good luck going up against the NFL if you're trying to make a TV show, you know. Okay, Let's get to the Bald Eagle fact. Now, the Bald Eagle fact, one of my favorite parts of my podcast, I reach back deep into the history of the Eagles, and we talk about things like their first season, their second season. First season was in 1933, so we slowly make it up. They're record holders, Eagles record holders in passing and receiving and rushing and all that stuff. Head coaches, the history of their head coaches, people that have been entered into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that are in the Eagles Hall of Fame, blah, 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 blah. A lot of interesting stuff, I think, anyway. So now that they've changed the Pro Bowl, I thought, hey, why don't we talk about, we're up 2 anyway. We've already talked about the first 6. Talk about the 7th ever NFL Pro Bowl game played in 1957. Played specifically on January 13th, 1957. So let's compare that briefly to current Pro Bowls. Not only did they actually play a physical game in 1957 when they played the Pro Bowl, so they didn't care about injuries, but they played in January. Now, you know what? I take that back. It was played at the LA Coliseum, so it probably wasn't that cold. The LA Coliseum had a capacity of 101,000 fans, but only 44,177 watched or attended the NFL Pro Bowl in 1957. The NFL was split to East and West teams. This was before, clearly, 13 or more years before the merger with the AFL. So the NFL West team was led by Chicago Bears coach Patty Driscoll, and the NFL East team was led by New York Giants coach Jim Lee Howell. The Eagles had 4 players in the Pro Bowl that year. Left guard tackle Buck Lansford, quarterback Bobby Thomason, defensive tackle Jim Weatherall, and linebacker Chuck Bednarik, somebody that any of you that is an Eagles fan, if you don't know who Chuck Bednarik is, listen to all my podcasts. Go on Spotify, Apple Music, all those other places, or YouTube or whatever. Listen to all my podcasts. You'll get at least a couple of them. I've gone into detail about Chuck Bednarik, the concrete Charlie. The only 2 touchdowns that were scored in the game were scored in the first 18 minutes. The West had 6 interceptions. The game featured 7 fumbles and a blocked field goal. The MVP was Bert Rechichar, who was the Baltimore Colts kicker. He attempted 5 field goals and made 4, so that was that one blocked. He made field goals of 41, 2 of 44, and 1 of 52. That 52-yard field goal beat the Coliseum record previously set by Cleveland's Lou the Toe Groza in the 1951 NFL playoffs. Outstanding lineman of the game was Ernie the Horse Stautner. He was the Steelers' defensive tackle. They considered him an aggressive defensive tackle, and he weighed in at 235 pounds. Just to give you some comparison on how things have evolved in the NFL, current defensive tackles average 310 pounds. So let's just to repeat that. Current defensive tackles average around 310 pounds. In 1957, there was a Pro Bowl defensive tackle who was outstanding lineman of the Pro Bowl, and he was 235 pounds. The West ended up defeating the East 19-10. Each player on the West, the winning West roster, received a bonus of $700. That equals about $7,377 today. For comparison, the 2021 Pro Bowl winners got $80,000. So that's 10 times more than what they got back in 57, even including inflation. Each player on the losing East roster received $500, which is about $5,269 today. The 2021 Pro Bowl losers got $40,000. So a little less than 10 times the amount. All right, that was the 7th ever Pro Bowl in 1957. Oh, one other little note. That was the last time that the Pro Bowl was not televised. That was the last untelevised Pro Bowl. All right. That is it for the Bald Eagle podcast. Do me a favor. You know that the Bald Eagle is streaming every Wednesday, 6 p.m., with a few exceptions if we have games on Mondays. Check me out on all social media. Go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, go to Twitter. I have a Twitch, but I'll be honest, I don't use it often. And follow, like, share to all your friends. And go when you do that, search up the Bald Eagle podcast. I'm not popular enough yet to supplant all of those podcasts about actual Bald Eagles. So the Bald Eagle podcast or at Bald Eagle 4133. Also, do me another favor. Go to all of Philly Sports Alliance's shows and watch them and follow their shows. Here's a lineup, and it's a great lineup. We have every sport covered, including wrestling. So on Mondays, you have the Football Smack Talk show. It's at 6 o'clock. It's going to be on all the channels I'm on. It features Ryan Reese and Eric Ward. They're going to talk about the whole NFL, right? I focus only on the Eagles at the Bald Eagle podcast. They talk about the Eagles. They do spend more time on the Eagles because they are both Eagles fans, and it is a Philly show, but they always they talk about the whole NFL as well. Mondays at 7:30, you have the Diamond Club podcast. That is an all Phillies podcast featuring John Hunter, Chris Lahiff, and Danny Hart, specifically baseball. Tuesdays at 6:30, you got the Philly Broadcast. So the Philly Broadcast is all Philadelphia sports, major sports, of course. So you have all four of them. You have the Sixers, the Flyers, the Eagles, and the Phillies. So all four sports in Philly are covered. And that features Ryan Reese and Ryan Finneran. On Wednesdays at 6, you're glued to whatever social media you prefer to watch and listen to the Bald Eagle podcast, home of the most in-depth play-by-play analysis. After my show at 8 o'clock is Mike Sports. That is an NFL podcast featuring Eric Ward and Jay Landry. Again, they cover the whole NFL. And the unique part about their show is that Eric Ward is an Eagles fan and Jay Landry is a Cowgirls fan. So tune in to see that tension that's going on there. Thursdays at 5:30, Tendies on Pattison. That is a Flyers podcast show featuring Paul Batcho, Jack Griffin, and Chris Lahiff. And last but not least, Thursdays at 7, we have Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. I love their logo. I think their logo is the second best up there. Of course, the Bald Eagle is the best, but and that is a wrestling show featuring Eric Ward and Mike Rouse. Okay, check all that stuff out. Follow me, follow all those places on social, follow the Philly Sports Alliance on social, follow the Painted Lines, follow Six Pack Coverage, go buy some watches and shit from La Terrain, and I'll see you on Wednesday at 6, recapping our significant win over Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Until then, go Birds.